Alabama at Oklahoma, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC, ESPN. I will be there. This is a rematch of just a few weeks ago when Oklahoma won 23-21. Even though Alabama had a 406 to 212 yardage edge, Oklahoma won that game because they had a 3-0 turnover margin, including a pick six and a bunch of big special teams plays. David, first off, do you think either of these teams has a chance to win the national championship?
Oklahoma, no. Listen, I'm glad, I'm not glad Oklahoma's there necessarily. They've earned their way in. They aren't the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. The defense is good. They're a tough watch, but that's going to catch up to them. And they don't have enough, just raw talent to do it. Alabama has the raw talent to do it. They've played pretty poorly for the last, 5 weeks or so. So there's a world, it's a little bit like the Ohio State situation last year where they weren't playing very good from coming into the playoff and then tapped into it. This Alabama team is obviously not as talented as that Ohio State team from a year ago. People forget they were the 8th seed, I believe. So they're, where Oklahoma's at. Alabama could win it all, but they're going to have to play at their absolute peak, which, they did sort of against Georgia. We haven't really seen that yet. So I'm going to say in theory from Alabama, but probably not, and no way, no how for Oklahoma.
Yeah, Alabama's a 1.5-point favorite in this game, by the way. A favorite on the road against a team that they already lost to. The winner of this game will go to the Rose Bowl to play Indiana. And, weirdly, I kind of think Oklahoma might be a tougher matchup for Indiana than Alabama, but I do agree that the upside is much higher with Alabama. Let's talk about Oklahoma first. This is a team, they're 10-2. They've got wins over Alabama, Michigan, losses to Texas and Ole Miss. Everybody agrees they deserve to be here. Top 10, top 5 defense in the country. It's been very, very good. The offense is not. They're in the 90s in scoring and yards per play. It's been pretty rough. But this is a team that every time they're almost every time their back is against the wall, they get it done. They're trailing Auburn with 7 minutes left. They get the game-winning drive to win that. They lose to Texas. They come back, go to South Carolina, win on the road. They're losing in the third quarter at Tennessee and getting outgained by 200 yards. They come back to win that game. They're down. They're hanging on barely with Missouri. They get an 80-something yard touchdown pass to Satanga that is a third of their offense and wins them the game. They're down to LSU with 5 minutes left. They get a 60-yard pass to Satanga. They win that game. This team just keeps coming up with things. The Alabama game, as we said, didn't play well, but the defense and special teams were there. This is a top 5 defense. It's also probably the number 1 special teams in the country. They are number 1 in FEI special teams, not opponent adjusted. Tate Sendell, the kicker, won the Lou Groza Award. He was 7 for 7 on kicks over 50 yards. And when they beat Alabama, when they beat Alabama in the first game, 3 of their scoring drives were 31 yards or less. And that's not including the pick six because they were getting turnovers. They had a big punt return in there. So Oklahoma does the things on the margins that can win you the games. They're just also not doing the big things that can win you games more comfortably, I guess.
We do need to start calling them just Secret Iowa. Can we just call Oklahoma Secret Iowa for the rest of that's kind of what they are. I think I thought this team was going to be fun coming into the year. John Mateer, a very fun player. The Jade Knott situation, is a very fun back. And this has not been a very, very fun team. They just sort of squeeze the life out of teams. The R. Mason Thomas touchdown play was the most fun play probably of the year.
For that, it's a sack fumble. R. Mason Thomas takes it 71 yards for a touchdown. Greg Jennings putting the team on his back because he got a quad injury on the return. And
it looked bad in the moment. He was struggling to walk.
And he hasn't played since then. And we don't know his status for this game, but that is a gigantic deal. And obviously they beat him without him last time, but this is one of the best edge rushers in the country. Does having a couple of weeks off help his availability? I hope so, because he's a great player, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to see him.
One thing I wonder about with this game, though, this version of Oklahoma, the not just Brent Venables, but like all the guys in this roster, the big game experience has got to be pretty minimal for these guys. And Alabama obviously didn't make the playoff last year, hasn't won a playoff game in a while. But this roster's played in a bunch of big games. Kalen DeBoer has coached as a head coach in a bunch of big games, certainly more than Brent Venables has. Brent Venables has coached in a bunch of big games as a coordinator, but I think it's different as a head coach. I'm curious if that comes into play here. I think it's a little different. We've never seen, I say never, it's been 4 games, but it is what it is. We've never seen one of these road teams win, but we've never seen one of them be favored either. So I'm very curious. I think Alabama wins this game just because I think they're a more complete team.
Well, let's talk about
ahead.
Alabama first. Like as a team, like they're lose that opener to Florida State in stunning fashion, and everybody's looking up Kalen DeBoer's buyout number. They rally, win 4 straight games in September, October against ranked teams. They go to Georgia and win. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Missouri, and they beat Tennessee. Now, the last 2 of those teams aren't ranked anymore, but they're still solid wins.
And I think it's important to know that they were the better team in all 4 of those games. I think.
And Ty Simpson looks like Heisman Trophy leader.
Yeah, he was number 1 on my ballot
for a while
after the Tennessee game. Yeah,
and they have not really played well since. They have to rally to beat South Carolina. They lose to Oklahoma. Have to hold on against Auburn. You get blown out in the SEC championship game. It's a team that has not run the ball well all year. I'm not sure Jam Miller's status, but
I don't think Jam's going to play, but they've been outside of the top 100 in yards per carry for most of this year. They are currently sitting at 120th, just behind Hawaii, noted power running team of Hawaii. So there you go.
I can't imagine. By the way, where's Oklahoma in there? Oklahoma can't be much higher either.
Well, Colorado State is actually 2 spots higher. Oklahoma is 108th. So
yeah, so like they haven't been.
If you like well blocked runs, look away from this game.
Oklahoma's found a couple of guys in a couple of games to give them a little bit of a running game, but this thing runs through John Mateer, and he had the hand injury, midway through the season, and so with Alabama, it's like, is this team just like free falling right now, or is this or with a week off in between? Can we get the Alabama team from then? I don't know. And what does it mean that these teams have already played each other? It's hard to beat a team twice. Look at Alabama and Georgia. So this is the second time Alabama's doing a rematch game this season. And, Ryan Williams hasn't lived up to the hype this season, video game cover and all that stuff. He's had some really uncharacteristic drops. Jamani Bernard has kind of probably been the most reliable guy at receiver for them. And the defense, and the defense is like opportunistic, but hasn't stopped the run all that well. And Georgia moved the ball pretty well on them.
Yeah, the Ryan Williams thing I think is super interesting to me because, he has the 177-yard game against Georgia last year, the crazy catch. How many times in SEC play, Chris, do you think he's had a 100-yard game since then?
3?
0.
Wow.
He does not have a 100-yard game since that crazy Georgia game. And the interesting thing that I think it is for me is like, he is, I think, the most interesting person on this Bama team because he looks like he might be the second best player in the country, right behind Jeremiah Smith. And he hasn't looked like that at all, really, this season. When he gets the ball in his hands, he moves different. He's extremely twitchy. And, I talked to a lot of coaches about him last year for a couple different things. And every coach I would talk to was like, that guy is just impossible. I don't understand how good he is. And the production has just not been there this year. So, Oklahoma's going to have to factor for him. I wonder if we get some breakthrough moments for him in this game, and maybe the dam breaks and we see him break through. Because, again, eye test, like, the talent is there. But like you said, the drops are there. The production has just not been there. Jeremy Bernard has been a much more reliable player. Lottie Brooks, the freshman, has made some huge plays for them. They love him in Tuscaloosa. So it's been a weird year for him, for Alabama. the fact that he is second on the team in receiving by like a wide margin, and Isaiah Horton has twice as many touchdown catches is pretty wild.
So, last thing here on Oklahoma, Alabama. They have played twice the last 2 years. Oklahoma has won both of them. Brent Venables 2-0 against Kalen DeBoer here at these schools. And in those 2 games, Oklahoma has 2 pick sixes in 5 scoring drives under 35 yards. That's because Oklahoma has a 6-1 turnover edge in those games. So what needs to happen for Oklahoma? You got to get turnovers. This is a
Obviously.
team, the first half of the year was not getting many turnovers. The second half of the year, they really are, and they're turning them into points. So that's the first thing. Does Oklahoma get the turnovers? If they don't, it's going to be hard to see them win the game, but I'm going to go Oklahoma wins this game by the smallest of margins. I think the defense gets a turnover or 2. I think they win the special teams again, and they win a close one. And you going with Alabama?
Yeah, I just trust Alabama in this spot, and I just don't like. I've seen Oklahoma in person. I've watched them a bunch this year. They're just not a great. They're not a great team, and I think Alabama proves it. And I think some of their weaknesses are laid bare in this game, and catch up to them.
They're not a great team in one of the 3 facets. They are great, I think, on defense.
Oh, only one? The one that they're going to be on the field probably for like 60, 70 snaps? Just that one?
Just that one. Okay. All right. On Saturday,